Good evening, everybody. Had to think then. Had to think. Evening, morning, where are we? Wow. Hello and welcome. It's this. I don't think it's kind of sunny-ish. Thursday afternoon or evening here in the UK. I don't know what's going on. My hair now. Let's fix that. So, how is everyone today? How's all our weeks going so far? Let's just see if anyone's coming in. I'm just going to make it so that we can be seen on Facebook as well. Just bear with me one moment. And hopefully we'll all be able to see me. So let's see. So tonight we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Tonight, there we go. Good evening, Good evening, Rachel. From a dull but dry barrow. Yeah, I was trying to work out how to describe the weather because it's been up and down. It's been like really sunny and then just clouds and really windy, splattering of rain this morning, but only the tiniest bit of rain. So it's been and still very close and muggy. It definitely is here in Bristol anyway. So yes, good evening everybody. Good evening, Jan from a sunny Sudbury, and good evening to Tracy. Yeah, let me know what the weather's like where you are. Tonight we thought we would do something a little bit different, and we would do a bit of a back to basics with chainmail and jump rings. So there's not a project per se, but this is a perfect opportunity if you have any questions that you want to ask about chainmail, whether you're experiencing chainmail, whether it's new to you, or just jump rings or anything like that. Then let's have a little session where you can just type a little Q and then ask me a question, and I'll see if I can help. And if I can't, I'll certainly try and find out the answer for you. Good evening, Lisa. Good evening, Elaine. Oh, so lovely to see everybody coming through. So as I've just said, today we're going to be talking about all things jump rings and chainmails. So if there's anything you want to have a chat about, any questions you have with regard to chainmail, jump rings, anything like that, then now's a perfect opportunity to go ahead and do so. Just pop a little Q, ask a question, and we'll see what we can do. What I will do, because there isn't any kits as such for tonight, I'm going to take you over to the Totally Beads website where I can go ahead and show you the everything you need to get started with chainmail. So I'm going to take you over and I'm going to share the page. There we go. There we are. So as always, we go over to totallybeads.co.uk. And you'll see on there's lots of inspiration. You've got video tutorials, you've got past and upcoming tutorials. Obviously, all these projects are also available on our YouTube channel for you to watch as well. So what we're going to do is we'll do something a little bit different, as I said. Now, you'll see here we've got past projects. So if you fancy just getting some chainmail, some jump rings, and just having a play, let me see if I can help you. So the first thing I would say is you want to go, now you've got two ways you can do this. You can either type in findings, or you can just go in and type, you can tell, jump rings. And if you type in jump rings, it will show you all of the jump rings that we have available. Good evening, Amelia. Jan says, I'm so glad you're doing this. I have a real job understanding the sizes if I'm not in the UK. Ooh, that's a tricky one. So you mean by sort of, because they refer to them as like a 3/4 of an inch and such, don't they? I will say that I do often find if you are looking for, if you are following a tutorial or something where they are giving you sort of the non-UK conversion, I often find that you'll look and see what the millimeter is. That's what we would go by. So Jan has asked, I'm going to pop your question up if that's all right, Jan. What is a 3.75 in a diameter and a 5.5 in a diameter? Really good questions. Really good. It's more to do with the AWG. Oh, amazing. That's even easier for me to answer. So your let me just pop that down. So when you do chainmail, so I'll come back to the website in a moment. When you have jump rings and you're doing chainmail, if you look at any kind of instruction or guide for chainmailing, traditionally you'll see that it will refer to ID and it will have that number, such as Jan has asked there, what is a 3.75 ID and what is a 5.5 ID. So the ID is the inside diameter of a jump ring. So by ID, it means what is the measurement on the inside of that jump ring. So it's the thing is, Jan, it's not necessarily like a UK thing. I think it's because when you're doing specific projects for chainmailing, we refer to the inner diameter. But when we are selling our jump rings, say on Totally Beads, they're not just primarily used for chainmail. So when you're sort of buying jump rings from Totally Beads, you could be buying them for anything. You could be buying them as part of your general finding top up, or just to hang charms from. And so they actually go by the outer diameter. And so it's a very easy conversion. Let's get a jump ring and let's have a little look and I'll explain it. So let's add a camera and let's have a little look. So I've got some samples. I've got some samples here of some chainmail projects. So you have your this is something that we're currently working on in the BeadClub at the moment. The BeadClub is again available. For more information on that is on the Totally Beads website, and this is the project that we're doing at the moment. And this is called By Bees to Butterflies, and this is what we use the smaller jump rings for. So some projects have to have a set jump ring size, otherwise it won't work. This one, for example, needs to have this particular size jump ring, because if it doesn't, it won't hold, it won't be stable enough, it will be too loose. So but some chainmail weaves, you can wiggle the size a little bit, so that have a kind of what they have an aspect ratio, which is like the ideal size or the range of size jump rings that will work for that particular weave. But some can be done in a variety of actual sizes. They just lose the stability or it just changes visually. Some have to be the sizes that they are. So this particular one, this is a Japanese flat weave, and so again you need to be able to make sure that your jump rings are going to work, that you're going to be able to put a certain amount of jump rings through the smaller ones, so it's done on that ratio. So when you say about the inner diameter, let's find a large jump ring that we can look at. I have a few here ready to go. Where are we? So jump rings come in a variety of sizes and colours and finishes. So I'm going to move all of this out of the way and show you, for example, this jump ring here. So this is one of our larger jump rings. So it's quite good for me to be able to show you what I mean by the inner and outer diameter. So the inside diameter is the size of this inside circle, and then the outer diameter is the outside size. So this is a 7mm on the inside and a 9mm on the outside. The other thing to remember, a good way to work this one out, is that this has been done with a 1mm wire gauge. So the wire that's used to create this jump ring is a 1mm. So that 1mm, it means basically I know that it's a 7mm on the inside, and they tend to generally be a 2mm larger on the outside. I knew what you meant with the 3/16 Yeah. Could you please translate this? If you were looking at that, an 18 gauge, Jan, means that you've used a 1 mil wire. So 18 gauge is the American conversion for our wire. We go by gauge by millimeters. They don't. So I'm not quite sure how they work this out, but an 18 gauge for in the US American size wire is a 1 mil gauge for the UK. So you can see that there it says 1 mil. 3/16 of an inch. Again, that's just a conversion, the way that they go by. If you look at a ruler, you've got your inch, and there on your 16ths are the little tiny lines here. So 3/16 of an inch is 4.76. So it should be 1, 2, 3 16ths. Is this yeah? Yeah, because there's 16. So this is a 16th here. So maybe, so I'm not 100% sure of the 3/16. I do believe it's basically done on a 1, 2, and 3. That's the inner diameter, which means that that is just under a 5 mil jump ring. So when we talk about the inside diameters, this one here, let's have a little look. This is a 4 mil. So this one has got 1, 2, 3, 4, just about 4 of the little 16ths in it. By the 20 gauge is 0.8, so that means it's a thinner gauge wire. And 1/8, again, it's a smaller, thinner jump ring. So the good thing about these conversions is it's already told you at a 3.18, and then you've got your 4.76. So actually, if you look at that 3/16, if you look, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, just under 5 of those lines. So that's the summary of how they've done it. So basically, if you were to look at this larger one, which is a 7 mil, you would count the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just under 9/16. I tend to work it. This is how we go by our gauges. Now, we don't have the sort of 4.76s or those kind of variations. We tend to round up or down either to a 4.5 or a 5. So generally, if you're buying sort of jump rings, you'll find that they'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and they'll just go up in ones. You can get specific jump ring sizes cut. There are tools that you can get if you want to make them, or you can use a mandrel if you do want that 0.5, but you can generally go either way. So for example, on that one you said a 3/16 is a 4.76. I would round it up to a 5 mil in the diameter, and I would use a 5 mil jump ring, which if you were buying them from Totally Beads would be a 7 mil jump ring, because there are 2 mils difference between the inside and outer diameters. So this jump ring here is a 4 mil on the inside and a 6 on the out. This jump ring here is a 7 on the inside and a 9 on the out. So if you were looking at that as a list of materials and you can see it's an 18 gauge, then you've got the right gauge here and a 4.76. I would try it with a 0.5 mil in the diameter. If it didn't work, it felt a little loose, I would switch it to a 4. So if the inner diameter is almost 5 mil, we would use a 7 mil outer diameter. So what would the outer diameter be on the 3.18? So the 3.18 is, I would round that down to a 3, and the outer diameter would be a 5. So that again, which we do have, we do the 5. We do the 5s. These are a 5 mil. So you'll see here this jump ring. So I've already said that this is a 4 or a 6 if you're going by the outer diameter. So this jump ring here is a 3 mil inner diameter, and it's a 5 mil outer. So this one would be 3 mil on the inside, 5 on the out, 4 on the inside, 6 on the out, 7 on the inside, 9 on the out. Does that make sense? And so, as I said, hi, Carol. So, as I said, if I was looking at a pattern that said sort of a 3.18, I would try the 3, because you can see there's quite a difference between that 4 and that 3. Okay, or that 5 and that 6. Yeah, 5 and 6. So I would try it, and if you were struggling, then I would try it. The way it works, my way of thinking, is the inside diameter is 4 mil. Okay, and if this jump ring or this jump ring is all made out of a 1 mil wire, you should in theory be able to get 4 jump rings inside the 4 mil jump ring. Yeah, so in theory you should be able to attach to the 7 mil at least 7 jump rings. On the 3 mil, you probably wouldn't be able to try 4 jump rings. It would be very tight in that inner diameter. So if you were doing a weave where it needed to have 4 jump rings attached, you probably wouldn't be able to use a 3 mil size jump ring, because the odds of getting 4 jump rings inside there are going to be really tricky. And if you do manage to get them in, you're not going to have a lot of movement. Does that, hopefully that makes sense? So Jan says, yeah, you watch the Aussie Mail tutorials, you want to try butterfly weave. Butterfly weaves are beautiful, and funny you should say that, Jan, but here's one we made earlier. So this is a variation of the butterfly weave. I love taking a weave and kind of mixing them or fusing them together. I love to just do something a little bit different with them. So this is your butterfly weave, which is what you're talking about, Jan. A beautiful, beautiful little weave, beautiful, connected in a continuous bracelet or necklace, but also great as that charm. So you can see here I've added just some of these lovely little acrylic drops. And again, all these materials are available on Totally Beads website. So if I show you that I've got on this one, if I'm looking at it, I can tell you the size of the jump rings that I've used. I've used the 4 mil inside diameter, but they would be the 6 mil on the website. And I've used them for all of this section up here. And then the jump rings that I've used for the middle are actually the larger, the 9 mil, but I think you could use 5, or you could use anything that's just a little bit bigger to be that, to separate out the wings effectively. But I've kind of just had a little bit of fun with this one, created a little bit of a Mobius middle, and made it a little bit different. Let's go over and have a little look at how where we would get this the materials for this. So let's have a go back over to the website. Now again, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. If I can help, I will try. Okay, so on the website that we have here, you'll see if you type in at the top your product, if you type in jump rings, but hello. So what you missed in all of that drama was I clicked my mouse on the wrong screen because I have 2 monitors, and I was looking at the one that I was sharing it on and clicked, and I must have muted myself. So I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me now. Yeah, can we hear me now? I accidentally muted the mic. So Sorry about that, and thank you for letting me know. So I was having a good old chat then. I thought I sounded very, like I knew what I was talking about. Anyway, so we go over to the website. You type in totallybeads.co.uk. You go into search and you type in jump and then a space and rings. It will show you all of the jump rings that we have in stock, the sizes. I have to say the price of these are fantastic. So if you look at it, it will tell you 8x1, for example. So 8 is the outside diameter of that jump ring. So if it's an 8mm on the outside, it means it's a 6mm on the inside. It means by being a 1mm wire, so 8x1 means 8mm on the outside as the diameter and 1mm for the gauge of wire. So let's look at the rhodium ones here that are 4mm. So 4mm jump rings, the wire, it's always great to click on them and have a look and read that description. So if we go back to these, if you look, they simply say jump rings 4mm rhodium plated. So have a little look. They don't tell you that they're 8x1. So that means when you look here, you can see you've got approximately 400 rings here. These are going to be tiny because they're 4mm on the outside, which means they're 2mm on the inside. But they are a 0.7mm wire, which means they are thinner, which means, again, if you think about what I said about putting the gauge of wire through, it's not a 1mm wire, it's a thinner gauge of wire. So there are weaves that do have different ratios based on the gauge of wire that you're using. So if we see here, we've got the jump rings. Now these are cool. These are jump rings and they say they're 8x1.2. And I'm going to check that, because if they are, how have I missed these and not put these into a project? They absolutely are. So for £1, you can get 8mm on, and you see here, outside size, and then it says here inside size. So it says 5.6. Now the reason there's a variance, and Jan, this goes back to what we were saying, the gauge of the wire is thicker. So this gauge of wire is 1.2mm, which is a one up again. So these are going to be great for your slightly chunkier pieces of chainmail. Great for your gents jewellery, chunky. Now, so basically your outside is going to be 8 and your inside is going to be roughly 6. Now it's a little bit less than 6 because the gauge of wire is heavier. So you don't have that same size. So it's just something to factor in. Now, if you look, you'll see that you get 75 jump rings in that one bag. Now, that sounds like a lot, and it absolutely is. But I will always say, when it comes to buying jump rings, buy as many as you can, because you will use a lot of jump rings up in a project. I'm going to show you some examples in a moment and explain what I mean by that. So you might think, oh, 75, that's loads. But there are some weaves that take 20 jump rings just to create one component. So you definitely need to have lots in your stash. And I think, again, for £1, that's amazing. I'm gonna have to seek those out when I go to the warehouse next. And again, you've got gold in a 1.25. You've got your dull silver. Again, these are great for your gents jewelry. You've got all your unisex jewelry, matching jewelry. You've got black. So this is a nice one you see here, jump rings, 5x0.7. So again, that 0.7, you already know that jump ring is going to be thinner than your sort of traditional size, should we say. So you've got 4.5. These ones, 14x2mm. So if we look at these, it shows you here, your wire size is 2mm in its gauge. These are going to be really cool, chunky, heavy gauge jump rings. 14mm, and these are going to be the outer diameter, and they are going to be great to do your focal pieces on. Doing a Byzantine, you can do, can't think of the name of the weave, but I used aluminium jump rings, and you basically can attach a Byzantine ring around it. It looks really cool. You could do something like that. I mean, you don't even have to do chainmail with these findings either. You fill these up with lots of lovely, cute little beads. So those are your pieces. You get 12 per bag, but again, they're heavier gauge and they're larger. Then you come down to your sort of more sort of traditional, I don't say traditional, but more recognised sizes for your chainmail. So you've got your 7x1, again in your rhodium. So £1.50, 7x1. Now, one thing that Totally Beads have done, which I think is fantastic, is they put your outside and your inner size diameter on there. So you'll see there that you get 100 pieces of your rhodium jump rings, 7mm outside, 5mm inside, and their gauge is 18, which is a 1mm. So fantastic to have all that information. £1.50 for a bag. So again, absolutely brilliant prices. So if you look along, you'll see you've got your silvers. You've got so many colors. We do gold, champagne gold, rose gold, rhodium, black, silver. Oh, look at these really cute twisted ones. So you've lots and lots of choices here. Have a little look on the website, get your stash in, because there's so much to go through. So then the next thing that I want to talk about is just going through those basics of how you're going to use your jump rings and how you're going to apply them. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a chainmail bracelet, which was with the Starburst. I've got a little sample of it here, which was with the Star Dust beads and your simple Mobius. Your Mobius weave is one of the best and easiest weaves to do and can be done on any of your size jump rings. So again, you'll find little staples of weaves that you can connect. So we talked about the fact that this is your a variation of your Byzantine. So I want to just explain that each of these components that are in all these different colors, there are 10 jump rings. So there's already, so if I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So there's 22. That's 220 jump rings just in those components, and it still needs a few more sections added to it. So I'm probably going to be looking at around about, I think, 26 units before it's finished. So that's 260 units. Jump rings, and then you have 2 to connect it and your extras. This bracelet will probably use about 300 jump rings. So that's how easy it is to get, use a lot of jump rings in a weave. Totally worth it. I absolutely love this weave. You have here the Great Southern Gathering weave, which is also known as the GSG. Now this weave uses the 5mm inner or 7mm outer, and again, I absolutely love this weave, one of my favorites. But this will take up a lot of jump rings. We also have on the website, and I'll see if I can find them in a moment, but I absolutely love these, and these are the little, we've got a few little variety of them, but these are absolutely great. They're little plastic sort of sieve holders, I think they're called, but I'll look them up in a moment. But these are great for holding your weaves, for being starters for your weaves, but also for putting starter sections on. So if you're doing chainmail and you want to have a little couple of different ones with starters on, you could do that with, say, this one. You could start it here and then remove this amount of it, and then you'll always have your little section started. These are absolutely great for that, and these are again on the website. Let's have a quick look. They're great because they're acrylic, they're lightweight, but they're sturdy, and again, a really cool little addition. Let's see, here they are. Let me take you over to the website so you can see. And like I said, if you do have any questions, please ask. I'm just going to show you again. If I take you, oops, is it coming? There we go. So you'll see these. This is what we have here. Now these are £1 for 2 different pieces. So you'll get a couple of different sizes, a couple of different shapes. So for a pack of 2, you can get them in black or in white. They are really great additions. They're, if you type in sieve, as in CIEVE, they come up as sieve pendants, and they are absolutely fantastic for using for your chainmail just as a starter, just to keep track of where you're going. You can see, here's me using it to start off the GSG a couple of times. This is from when I was teaching. So again, you know, really handy to have in your stash on this particular one. And what's great is you can color them, because some weaves like the GSG, you need to make sure you stay on the same side. They're side specific. So I colored it so I knew which was the front and which wasn't. So they're really, really great as well. Lots of different options. As I've said, you've got the Helms. Now the Helms is a mixture of weaves, of sizes. So if you said to me, Laura, what size, if I'm looking into starting out chainmail, what do you recommend? I always say you cannot go wrong with, let's go with totally bead sizes. So I'd say a 6, 7, 8, and 9. I think they're the 4 staples. I mean, I would also go for a 5 because I love the 5s. They're great for your sort of stepping stone and slightly smaller weaves. This is a stepping stone that's been done, but again, I've tweaked this one a little bit and I've used 5mm, 6mm size on here. So again, those little, if you said to me what ones could I choose, I would add in your 5s, and I'm talking about sizes from Totally Beads. So I'm talking about the outer diameter, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would get a nice mixture, and then I would have a little play about, get comfortable with them, and don't be intimidated by if they're a smaller jump ring, because again, some people will say, oh no, that jump ring is really small, I want to try it out on a larger jump ring. But if you're trying it out and it's not to ratio, it becomes trickier because it won't stabilize. So it's always, for me, I always recommend just using the size that you need to use. We've got another example here. This is your double cloud cover. I absolutely love this weave, and you can see I've just added it in with some little metal beads. Double cloud cover, and then you've got a single cloud cover. Any kind of chainmail where you are just linking jump rings is classed as chainmail. So, you know, the names can either be quite explanatory and explain what the weave are, like a 4-in-1 or a 6-in-1, something like that. But sometimes they're just very, very random. So I'm just trying to find out what's going on with my French. Sometimes they're very, very random and not related in any way. There's one called the snorted. I have to look up because it always stumps me. Snorting Drano. You've got Rhino's Snorting Drano. It always amuses me. Love the weave. It's a beautiful weave. But the variation of it is called, and this does make me laugh, the barrel weave. So you've got Rhino's Snorting Drano or the barrel weave. It's like one extreme to the other. So let's just look at some jump rings. Let's open some jump rings up and do a very simple 2-and-2 chain. Tool wise, now I do tend to use some 0-on tools, but you can start chainmail with the simplest of tools. Chain nose pliers or snipe nose pliers. They're basically got a couple of names: dolphin nose pliers, bent chain nose pliers, or some flat nose pliers. Where's my flat nose pliers? Hello Serena, how are you? You just want 2 pairs of pliers that are flat, that have a flat edge. So round nose pliers won't work for this. I've even been known to use like my crimping pliers because they have little mini chain at the end. So let's go ahead and open some jump rings. So the other thing as well is I do tend to use a jump ring opener. Now I know that we had them on the website. I don't know if we've temporarily sold out, but these are absolutely essential for me. We are currently out of stock on them, but hopefully we'll be getting them in soon. These are absolutely great just for opening your jump rings. I just find them such a time saver. So let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to open and close our jump rings very quickly. So opening and closing your jump rings. You'll see weaves that will say that you should have open and closed jump rings. So it's very easy to go, right, there's my jump rings. That's my closed ones, and I'll open these. That's easy to say. But what you need to do is look at them, because jump rings are slightly open when they come out of the bag. So you see there that bag, that jump ring is slightly open. So if I was to incorporate that into my design, I would see it and I would feel it. I think. So when I was doing this piece, I did half of it sort of nicely opened and closed, and then some of it where I didn't open and close them properly. And you'll see the difference it makes. You can feel it for a start, but also visually you'll see where those jump rings aren't open and closed properly. So it's always very careful. It's always very important that you open and close those jump rings carefully. They are very handy, Jan. So if I was to look at my jump rings, my top tip is, if I knew I had to have some open and some closed, what I would do is look at them and go, okay, so that one's quite lined up, it's just not quite closed. So I would just use my pliers and just give it a little wiggle and close it. Now it's nicely closed. And I would put that in my clothes pile. And again, same with this one. And a few more. Right, Savannah? Yeah. This is so these are all going to be pretty straightforward open and closers. Sometimes you'll find them, this one's a good one, where they're just slightly crossing. Only slightly, but they're just slightly overlapping. These are ones that I would then open instead of closing it. So I've got my closed one. So this one I would open instead. So to open it, I hold it in my hand, and you do not open them by pulling it or distorting that shape. Taking my pliers, and I'm just going to bring my hand towards and away from me. So one hand comes towards me, one hand goes away. So it just opens that out. We will say like you're opening a door. Just open and close. And that would be an open jump ring. I'd look at this one, open, and so on. So preparation, again, this is a good example of one that's very slightly overlapping. So if I try to do that, it does go, but it's a bit more clicky. Okay, so that is my top tip when you're working with those. Jan says, I did the helm weave the other day. How did you get on with that? The helm weave is beautiful. This is the helm weave just here. I absolutely love using this, and I love that you can add a focal component into the middle of it to make it just, it's very versatile in its designs. So let's go ahead and do a very simple 2-in-2 chain. Okay, now a 2-in-2 chain can be done in any sizes that you want it to be done in. It could be the same size, or it could be mixed sizes. Again, this is one of those. The clue is in the title. It's a 2-in-2. So 2 jump rings go into 2 jump rings. Okay, so let's say I've got my large jump ring and it's open. And let's pretend I've gone ahead and checked these. I'm going to add 2, and I'm going to add another 2. So I'm actually adding 4 because I'm starting, and I'm going to close this. And I do notice that I'm going backwards and forwards a couple of times to make sure that that is nice and lined. And then when we open it out, I've got a 2, 1, and a 2. Now, this is a 2-in-2. So I know I need to not have any single jump rings. So I'm going to take another large jump ring. I'm going to go through all 4 of those closed ones, and I'm going to close that back up. Now, when I open it out, we've got a 2, 2, and 2. Okay. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my pliers over. I'm sorry about the background noise. And I'm going to open another large jump ring, just because I'm going large and small. Sorry, my family going out. And then before I close that, I'm going to take two of the smaller ones and I'm going to drop them on. And then I'm going to close. Now 2 and 2. So I want to add another open jump ring. So this is where preparation really does make a difference, because if you have your jump rings ready to go, then it's going to make it a lot easier. You have to keep stopping and starting to before you can do your next move. And that little section there is a simple 2 and 2. Serena says, I love chainmail. All the patterns I've seen so far are just beautiful, and I'd really love to learn to do as many as possible. Serena, I 100% agree with you. I think this is something really lovely and calming about doing chainmail. I just find it. I find it quite crazy that you're able. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear Savannah. She's scratching her face. Savannah. Sorry, my French bulldog was scratching her face and it was hurting her. I find it amazing to pick up a piece and go, I made that. I've made that with jump rings and I've done that. And I also love the fact that everybody can have the same materials and do the exact same thing. It's so great in the fact that I can say, if yours looks like mine, it's right, because that's it. It's so it's a really, really great medium. So I'm going to just make it a little bit more interesting in the middle. So I'm going to take my 2 and 2 and I'm going to add a Mobius. So I'm going to take my large jump ring and I'm going to take another large jump ring. Notice I didn't add any small jump rings on. Let's attach this too. I'm going to just attach this onto a handle so that I know where I am. See how now when I put it down, I know exactly where I am, so I can keep track of everything. So I'm going to take a jump ring, and to Mobius it, all I want to do is push it so it goes inside, almost like a cross. And then place it down. See how it's Mobius? Probably not, because it's all the way down there. Let's try holding it like this. So it was interlocked. So then I'm going to take another jump ring, going to open that jump ring, and I'm going to do the same again. So through the 2, and then push it so it goes in the middle. And it's actually gone through those 2 jump rings. Now the size jump rings that I'm using for this are your 9mm jump rings and your 6mm jump rings. So I have to say I would quite happily wear that as a pair of earrings. Nice statement pair of earrings. If you wanted to, I would maybe go add 2 small jump rings, add another large jump ring. Do not do what I just did and use your fingers, because you shouldn't do that, and I tell everybody not to do it. Close. So imagine if you had a shepherd hook and you've just got a lovely statement pair of earrings there. Or as I said, you can just skip that last one and just have 3 if you like your odd numbers. So that's possible. And then if you thought, nope, I want this to be a necklace or a bracelet, I would take my 6mm jump rings, and then you'll be able to go straight around. Remember, these are 6mm outer, 4mm inner, so it's comfortably got those 3 jump rings, and you could actually go ahead and add your next 2 ready, and then close. and then attach all of those together by opening and closing. And then you can just continue your pattern along. So you can see how simple that weave is. One of the most simplest weaves, but that's going to look fantastic on a bracelet or a necklace. So it's going to be a really great addition. So the other thing to remember as well, just to point out with your chainmail is, you know, the gauge of the wire. Why do we use that stronger gauge? Well, simply because if I was doing this design but with a 7mm or an 8mm size jump ring gauge, it's going to be a bit weaker. This is a 1mm, but this would also look absolutely fantastic with those 1.25mm jump rings that we found. Now, you could use the smaller ones, could still be the 1mm, but the larger ones could be your 1.25, or you could use just one of those 1.25s instead of two. I just really love the potential that you have when you're doing chainmail, and also how quick is this for me to do. Bearing in mind, I didn't prep these jump rings before I started this project, which really you should be doing, and so obviously they're not as neat as they could look, but there you go. Look at that, ready. Okay, but I will say it does show the importance of having those jump rings closed properly, because you can see where I haven't. But and again, mix your metals up, have a little play, see what happens. I absolutely love chainmail. I've got lots of lovely ideas ready to show you on your lives, so make sure you stay tuned. Jan says she found the helm wheel okay, a little awkward at times, but good. Again, it could be ratio, Jan. If you're using the right ratio, it should be okay. If you're using your so for helm weave, I would use a 6mm and a 9mm outer. 6mm and 9mm, and also there are several different ways. Some weaves have several different ways of doing them, and I have a way of doing the helms that I find really the best way for me, but I know of at least two different ways that I find a little bit confusing. So maybe I'll speak to Kitty and Simon, and maybe we'll see if I can do a demonstration for the helms one day, because I do love this weave. It's beautiful, and you could jazz it up with some seed beads, or, you know, have a bit of fun. And I've done the shaggy loop, which I really enjoyed doing. I love the shaggy loop. I just love that weave. It's fantastic. So I hope you've enjoyed this little sort of impromptu chainmail jump ring chat. Any questions, you know, always feel free to comment or ask. You can contact us on Totally Beads, or you can contact me on Laura Binding. I'm around. Check out the website, have a little look, get a selection of jump rings. As I said, if you ask me, I'd say get your 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9s. That's the outer diameter. Get a few bags of them, have a play. This particular weave here, the Helms, is done with the 9 and the 6s, so you can see how you would need, you know, those different sizes. I hope you've enjoyed this. I will be back on Wednesday morning in a couple of weeks' time. But if you do make anything with jump rings, or any designs that you've done, please share and tag us in it, because we do love to see. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you for joining me as always, and I will speak to you all very, very soon.